Hello Internet! Are you ready for an honest-to-goodness haul video from me, as well as an admission, a dark secret coming out, and also a way for you to get more involved in my reading? Stay tuned! So I just got in my new in-stock trades order, and I wanted to go through that with you guys because it kind of gets to a bigger point. The first thing that I got that I'm really excited about is the last volume of Neon Genesis Evangelion came out, so it finally finished, and the ending of Eva in particular, but Neon Genesis Evangelion as a whole, is one of my favorite pieces of fiction. It's really deeply meaningful to me, as I know is to a lot of people, so I'm really excited to crack this. So if any of you want to talk Eva, please let me know. I also got Batman Dark Detective, heard good stuff about this, want to check it, even though, you know, just another whatever Batman. FPP Volume 2, haven't read Volume 1 yet, we'll get there, but this was so cheap I couldn't ignore it. Got Fables 20, keeping up with Fables. And then, for what I could, I've never read House of M, but I got what I could off of in-stock trades. So I got the main book, the Avengers book, Masters of Evil, and then this is the cheapest way to get a lot of this stuff, but there is a hardcover with like Spider-Man House of M, a Thunderbolts issue, Fantastic Four House of M, a Black Panther issue, which I think I actually own, and then the Uncanny X-Men tie-in. And I believe that there's even more House of M tie-in stuff. I'm gonna read this, and then revisit the idea of me collecting more, which I don't know, unless there's something particularly of note. I don't think I'd want to crack any more than what I bothered to get here. I also got Spider-Man Fever, which should be a good book. Travis Oddfellow's Thoughts was telling me a lot about this, and there's a reprint of Spider-Man Annual 2 in here, which is one of the few issues that Marvel loves reprinting more than any other issue for some reason. Then I also got me some Absolute Sandman. Now, I made a mistake and got Absolute Volume 5 instead of 4. I don't know how I made that mistake, but we all make dumb mistakes sometime. I think it was my subconscious telling me you really should be getting 5 too. So I'm going to have to fill that in, but I'm looking forward to essentially rereading Sandman, though some of it I honestly will be reading for the first time. And it should be really exciting to read that with supplementary material and whatnot. It's one of the few series that I think I'd actually be interested in digesting that. Though, longtime fans of the channel will know there's definitely some supplementary stuff that I've dug into more than the actual comic itself at times, so hey! But getting around to reading is a big theme of this video, and that's where we're going here. So I realize there's a whole lot in my collection I haven't read, and I realized this while I was rearranging my comic room again. I did what I finally have been meaning to do forever, and I got all my various single issues and trades from across my house and just put it all together. Now there's two main things here. A, I have a lot I need to read. I'm going to go through that with you guys because what I'm going to do is, if any of that you're looking forward to reading yourself or something maybe you want to revisit, I'm trying to do this graphic novel club, first issue, last video on this channel. It was a really great talk with me, Travis, Sleepy Reader, and John DC Comics, or Make My Marble, whatever he's calling himself these days. And we really dug into God Loves, Man Kills. And it caused me to reread a comic I haven't read for 15 years. And what's the point of owning all this dead trees if you're not revisiting it from time to time? So before I revisit, I should initially read what I have bought. So I'm going to go through the list. If any of it lines up with something you want to read or talk about, please let me know. I'd love to get together to talk with you, even if it's not an official video, you know, chit chat, whatever. Awesome. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm doing all this. So this is essentially going to be a mega haul with stuff from years and years. And to start off, before I get through the trades that I haven't read, I'm going to rattle off to you some of the stuff I have in issues that I haven't gotten to reading yet, which was in some ways more interesting to me. So there is the Robin 3 miniseries that predated the ongoing series. I haven't read that yet, but I read 1 and 2, but I bought 3, haven't gotten to it. Weird covers. Jubilee mini, I believe that was Hickman. The GLA, Great Lakes Avengers mini, I haven't read. Daredevil Yellow, I own the original issues that I got in some bundle thing. Haven't read that. Why didn't I read that? I don't know. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, that's right up my alley. What? I forgot I owned it, that's why. Hawkworld. Martial Law mini. There's a couple other. Mr. E. Okay. Chamber mini. Part of the Marvel Icons they did in the early 00s. There was a Cyclops one by Brian K. Vaughan that I enjoyed and stuck with me. There's an Iceman one, a Storm one, a Rogue one, and yeah. But Chamber one, I am assuming yeah, but should read it. Chamber, I just said, sorry. X-Men, The Search for Cyclops when Cyclops was dead with Apocalypse and all that. This was them bringing him back. It was $3. I bought it for obvious reasons. I like me some Cyclops, whatever. I own the majority of the Lobo run, and I have touched about 1 issue of it. I should read some of that, but I'll see if I can read some of it, so that should be interesting. The Return of Donna Troy miniseries I got. There's a Shazam Monster Society of Evil, which I believe actually is technically mine, but the other person in the house, but I should read that too. I own the majority of the Azrael run that I've touched about 1 issue of, and I'll see how much of that I can read. Yeah. The famous, like, starting with Brubaker and whatnot, Catwoman run, I own the high majority of that run. I've barely read any of it. I should, yeah. There's a miniseries of early Vertigo called Egypt. Put Lobo in here again. So much I own that it was on here twice. An old OMAC, or not like super old, not like the good Kirby stuff or whatever, but like, again, early 2000s, where a lot of my collection lies. There's something there. The Outsiders run from the early 2000s, I own the entire thing. I've only read the tie-in with the Teen Titans. I should read that. I never got around to reading Dial H or I, Vampire from the New 52, so I should do that. Cyclops and Phoenix mini from the 90s. I guess I should read that. I actually did read this. Bloodstone, the character from Next Wave. She had a mini in the Marvel Universe predating Next Wave, and I think that's all she was in except for maybe like 1 guest appearance prior to Next Wave. So she was actually an established character, and it's weird because it reads more like a bizarre, like, off-brand comic than like a Marvel comic, but she goes around, hunts monsters, but it's kind of played straight in Next Wave, so yeah. There's an Angel mini X-Men character that I own that I haven't read. Kingpin mini, I should read some of those A+ X books that came out after Avengers vs. X-Men. I got on the cheap, should read some of those. I have a whole chunk of X-Men Unlimited, which was mostly a late 90s X-Men book. I'd like to fill some of those in and read that, but they're mostly standalone, so I should just read what I have. The Wolverine Gambit mini, have that, should read that. The initial X-Factor run with Peter David, I should read that. I have some X-Force stuff I should read, and that X-Force ties into X-Statics, so it's all that kind of run. The Peter Allred, what am I talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about. X-Statics, that crazy stuff. The reason I bought those to read was because of all an artist person I know recommended it to me. It was kind of cool. Memoir, an old Image mini, should read. Flying Fortress, local author. I think I skimmed through them, but I never really read them. Good stuff, should read that. Minefield, JT Cruel stuff from when he worked with, I think it was Aspen. Have that, need to read that. And there's a few others that I don't think were on the list, but that's some stuff that I need to read. That's all in that closet right there. So I want to read some of it. I also would like to try to maybe make some room, because right now that is full, and that is a majority of the space I've allotted myself to fill comics with. Alright, and then some trades that have just been sitting around. There's a long shot trade and SETI, old stuff from when she was supposedly better. X-Men Zero Tolerance. I'm really excited to dig into this. Actually, I'm surprised I didn't do it earlier. This is a run from the 90s that I always wanted to collect. I was saddened to find out that this collection of Zero Tolerance doesn't have all the tie-ins and whatnot, especially one issue that I do already own, but it's a thing between Spider-Man and Morrow that is one of the comics that really stuck with me when I was younger. I don't believe that's in here, but this should be interesting to see if it lives up to my 2-decade-old hype, I guess. X-Men Poptopia. I assume this is garbage, but I should find out. The Marvel Mangaverse trade should be interesting. I got Demon in a Bottle, one of the few Iron Man chunks I really want to read. One I actually found on the cheap, so here you go. I have the first 3 volumes of Spider-Man Tangled Web. I want to get the 4th. I ordered it from In-Stock Trades, but it was the only one book they didn't have this time. Usually when I order from them, there's a whole lot they don't have, they initially claimed to. So, there is a lot of Supreme Power. It is the first 3 volumes, which covers a chunk of it. I looked it up. It was Marvel breakdowns, needlessly confusing. Also, Hyperion and Nighthawk. Should be interesting. Straczynski stuff, from what I understand, some of his better stuff, and I think he's great when he's on, and when he's off, it's because of usually some terrible editorial thing, I believe. So, yeah. Except for the Superman. Wolverine Origin, I actually read this in college, never owned it before. I need to reread it, see if I can make better sense of it. I guess. Why? I don't know, but it seemed like something I should own. Team Zero, kind of Wildstorm published. War comic? That I think ties in with some stuff later, but... and a Kame Girls, because, you know, DC weird manga-verse. Oh, how'd this get mixed in? I don't know about actually reading this, but someone got me the Batman role-playing game. There's some weird stuff in here. It's interesting. The Star Wars. If you guys saw my Star Trek versus Star Wars video, this might be a little interesting. The reason I was interested in this is this was adapted from the original script Lucas had that was supposedly more conventional, probably a bit more Buck Rogers-y, but I'd be curious. I was just curious to see how it was, and of all the different, Star Wars comics, whatever, kind of lost, but this kind of hit me as a cultural artifact that'd be worth checking out. JLA, Riddle the Beast. This is an Elseworlds thing, so I know some of you are checking out some Elseworlds stuff, mostly because Running with Comics has been doing some awesome talks about that stuff. This one looks really interesting because it's drawn more painterly like a fantasy comic, although on the level of like Dawn. But should be interesting for one. Check out. Superman Ending Battle. Justice League Rise and Fall. This is part of the JT Cruel thing that was really controversial about the time I started making videos, so 6 years ago. I kind of proposed it at the time and got caught up in all that hype, but I'm curious to check it out now, and would be, if I like it, check out some of the stuff before and after it. This was when Arsenal was... Youth is Wasted, a collection of stuff by Noah Van Sciver. If you know Noah's stuff, I imagine it's not too different, but yeah. The Wicked and the Divine, thought I'd check that out. And then the new X-Force trade. I got the Daughter of Dracula. I forgot why I got this, but there was a good reason at the time, I'm sure. Onslaught Reborn should be great. Look at that cover. Look at it. This actually ties into something I'm going to go on a little later, but the Invisibles, I got the entire Invisibles run. Need to read that. Kill Your Boyfriend, Grant Morrison issue, looks like. Oh man, I'm looking forward to this for all the right reasons. Batman Odyssey. Oh yeah. I got a big chunk of the Marvel Knights run of Elektra across 3 trades. I'm really looking forward to that. I apparently own a lot of Elektra, and I've read next to none of it. This looked interesting. Shooting War. This looked like it was kind of like a comic I was planning on writing once, and part of that like real world depicted in comics but telling a story sort of thing that I'm looking for but rarely find. I'm hoping this is closer to what I was looking for from hacktivism, in a way. Weird comparison for most, I guess, but I just found this for cheap. This is the 2nd volume of Witchfinder. I'd kind of like to get the first before digging in. I know people kind of take the Mignolaverse as you can kind of pick up any part of it. I have a problem where I have a really hard time doing that, especially with the Mignolaverse. The smaller connections that help build it up help me make sense of the bizarre going-ons of that. Green Lantern in Brightest Day. This was a collection printed during the Johns run of just like great gold and silvery oldies of different parts of the Green Lantern Corps, little intros by different people to the different issues. So I thought this would be a really cool book to check out. Very different from what you normally get out of a trade, kind of more of a pick and choose than a 6-issue chunk. Secret Avengers Volume 8 billion. I don't know, this was dirt cheap, and I kind of wanted to see how they handled movie Nick Fury in comics to reinforce my theory that that's a terrible idea. This is on the cheap. Fantastic Four versus X-Men, though. Doctor Doom, looks like, really. This is an old 4-issue mini that they collected, and I never even heard of it before, but could be cool. Old Marvel-y goodness. This I'm looking forward to. Unstable Molecules. This looks like if you handed the idea of the Fantastic Four to more of a indie comics person, this is what would come out, and I thought it would be a cool way to bridge kind of my love of superheroes with wanting to read stuff more off the beaten path. So, let's see here. 2 volumes of District X, which were cheap. This is an interesting one. This was just on the shelf. It's called M. It is. Let's see here. I'll just read the dust cover here. Behind every great suspense thriller lurks the shadow of M. In Fritz Lang's first sound film from 1931, Peter Lorre delivers a haunting performance as a serial killer, a whistling pedophile hunted by the police and brought to trial by the forces of the Berlin underworld. Then goes on to say how this is kind of more than just a straight adaptation, but I thought could be interesting to read some true crime stuff, and I was thinking of Torso when I was reading that, and Torso really grabbed me recently. Still like to talk more about that, but anyways, there you go. Also, was I going to find that again? Probably not. Got the first volume of Wasteland. I'll see if it's something worth checking out further. It is completely black and white, which at the time when it was initially coming out was something that kind of really turned me off. Now I feel I'm cooler and hipper and more serious and DPO, so I can like totally handle that. This blew me away. This was sitting in some corner. I own For Tomorrow. which was supposed to be the equivalent of Superman for Hush, but you can tell it's kind of forced, and it's supposed to be this big Superman storyline, but if memory serves, not so much. Maybe I missed something when I initially read it, so I'm going to read it again. When I initially read it, it was like skimming it at a library for 15 minutes, so yeah. More X-Men, Coming of Bishop. It's barely signed. Who knew? Chugworth Academy. You know that old nugget. This is the greatest Joker stories ever told. I own another trade with that exact same title, but the contents are 80% different-ish, and massive different, but it's mostly different issues. I think there's 2 issues that are the same across different times. Disappointingly, there is an issue from Hush in here, which I think doesn't belong in this trade, but there you go. Not because it was a bad Joker story, but because this was to kind of introduce kind of the great single issues or different things you probably wouldn't have read, and Hush is like one of those like things everyone Batman would read, and it was almost easier to get in the Hush, and it doesn't work on its own as well. As much as it's a great issue, I don't feel it completely stands on its own. Like, nothing in Hush does, because Hush ebbs and flows. Anyways, Brian K. Vaughan Swamp Thing trade, which should be weird because I don't know about Swamp Thing. It's a catalog. Oh, this should be interesting. I don't know if I actually read this, but I got the Marvel Atlas. Should be interesting to actually see where things are placed. I'd be more interested in the DC Atlas, because apparently there was one published, and it places Gotham in New Jersey, which I think is the best thing ever. So, you've probably heard me say that like 5 times. I don't care, it's my favorite comic book factoid thing. More Elseworlds, Superman Cal, Medieval Superman, I guess. And then a really beat up copy of Batman Black and White, which is cool. I said MEGAhaul. Alright. Hybrid Bastards, published by Arcadia. Great Pacific. Ooh, this looks like a library binding for an Arcadia book called Old City Blues. I heard a lot about it. This was a webcomic essentially just published, but a really well-renowned one. I'm really interested to dig into this. I'd already read this. Hit Girl, worst cover ever, but only way I could find it affordably. FBP Volume 1. Here we go. Superior Foes of Spider-Man. #1. And I actually got to talk to Lieber at a con. Seems like a really cool guy. I was really passionate about this book, and I haven't read an issue, but I'm sad it ended. Maybe that's why. X Factor, I'll do X Factor 1. I was purposely waiting for the trade on this because I had just finished all of Peter David's X Factor prior to this. It was my favorite thing, and I was a little upset that they transferred to a new thing, but I'm like, he's done it before, and it turned out to be one of my favorite runs of all time, and I didn't feel like that run was getting quite stale enough yet to kill, especially compared to a bunch of other stuff, but I have a feeling he did it to stay fresh anyways. This is what came out. I'm excited to dig into it, and we'll be curious to get the rest. Even if this one trade is kind of a stinker, I'm so in love with what David did with the rest of X Factor that I'd have to try at least one more. Saying that before I even read it, Arkham Unhinged. I read the other Arkham book and talked about it a while back. They're so bad. Deadshot Beginnings. A reminder that I should read that original Suicide Squad run, and that one indie book based on it that I'm spacing on the name of, but yeah. This is a weird one. Beautiful Killer, published by Black Bull Press. Oh man, we should talk Black Bull Press sometime. Man, that was weird, right? Oh, that was so 90s. Anyways, Jimmy Pamalotti and Phil Noto. Who knew? Green Arrow and Black Canary. Right before they got married, they printed this, doing a greatest hits of the two of them together. I don't know. And then Green Arrow, Black Canary, Road to the Altar, which I think I own all the contents of this in issues, so I don't think I bought this. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Mystery Date. Peter David again, so why didn't I read this sooner? Oh, a Checkmate volume. I hope it's the first one. I don't know. Oh, it's signed. Checkmate 1 through 7. Great. So I can just see if I like Checkmate. The originals, published by Dave Gibbons. Excited to dig into this. This is something nobody has heard of, guarantee it, but I would highly recommend it. I really need to read it again. Part of the reason why it's in this pile. Homesick by J. Smoltz. I actually know the publisher, which is how we came by this. This is more like a literary book, but done in graphic novel form. Very interesting. It won a few awards. If you're looking for a very kind of somber thing, but done with love for the medium, this is something I'd check out. Though, if you can't find Homesick by Tintino Press, let me know. I might be able to find something for you to get hold of it, if you care. Alright, Dark Entries, a John Constantine novel. Should be interesting. Darkstalkers Udon comic. Sean, if you're watching, I got your comics. Tell me where you live now. Secret Avengers, another volume 1. 10 Beautiful Assassins. Crazy manga stuff. Paradigm Shift, back when they were doing like Digimanga into print. I found this dirt cheap. It was like $1 a volume. Curious to see if that's worth read. The Wounded Man. Oh, so I had to look this up. I should do a whole video someday, but okay. The Wounded Man is a story by Kazuo Kawaki. Illustrations done by presumably one of his graduates. This was a man who did Lone Wolf and Cub. He did so much for anime and manga. He even did some movies. Huge influence over Japanese culture really influencing into today, but his is just kind of an era back. But his graduates went on to go do like Rama or Inuyasha or Vampire Hunter D or Fist of the North Star, Apocalypse Zero. Like, this guy is a titan of the manga world, is a titan of the anime world, and there tends to be more crossover than we have here with animation comics, but still impressive to be a titan in both those worlds on that level. Even Miyazaki can't quite claim that much transfer. So, incredible. The Wounded Man is probably closer to Crossed than anything else I can think of at the time. Like, maybe not quite that effed up for effed up's sake, but it is nuts. It is adult only. It is a lot of the worst of perception of Japanese culture being like, yeah, sure, it's great. The way he rapes Sandal. I've only read the first volume, and I have some more. Guys, this is some crazy stuff. This is amazing. So, if you're down, we should talk. Happy Q is a manga by Felipe Smith. I'm really excited to read this. A friend turned me onto Pipochu, which was something he did as a American-based artist going to the manga scene, staying up with it. This is the other half of that side of his career. He's since moved on. He, I guess, will be wrapping up his time with Marvel unless he gets put on something else. With his involvement of the current Ghost Rider. This guy is a huge talent with a love for the medium and does some really crazy stuff, really bridges between the two cultures. In a way, that's what Pipochu's all about, with some of the most effed up stuff. Talking about what I was just talking about with Wounded Man, but he's addressing in a way that's relevant. Oh my god, just excited to read this. Hey, more Noah Van Sciver, check out. Oh, and then some stuff I've read, but I should read anyways, some Afterlife with Archie. V for Vendetta, I should be doing a graphic novel club about that soon with Dark Nate and others that I can line up if timing works out. And Torso. Guys, read Torso. My favorite graphic novel I read last year. And obviously isn't from last year, but it was good stuff. And was the kind of slice of different I needed at the time. Yeah. Alright, this is where it's going to get weird, because I'm probably going to get a little backwards, or, hey, I can put myself like this. There's some books of magic I need to read. Black Sad, Doom Patrol, Ex Machina, technically Hack and Slash, but I might just get rid of that. It's pretty bad. Hellblazer, need to read 5 Up. I'm excited to get to some more of that. Like I said before, The Invisibles. Kabuki, need to dig through. That's David Mack's fun, but you can't just blaze through that. You gotta sit there, take it in. Lucifer, should be exciting. Name of the Game, some Will Eisner, can't go wrong. Powers, I was talking about that recently. Some Prophet. And like I said, those are some months. Alright, there is some Cable. There's some Cable in the X-Force. Gambit thing. Mystique. New Universal. Maybe Nightcrawler. It's pretty much it for that shelf. And then over to my DC side, I have Batman War Games to read. Bizarro Comics, Captain Atom, Armageddon, which led to the whole DC Wildstorm crossover thing, which was cool. Piles that I've pointed out. I'm just gonna swing you guys around here. Let's see here. Alec, The Years Have Pants, need to read that. Day Tripper, I've heard of that. That's good. Zot and Buzz. Planet Racers, which is a weird one. Jim Lawson, Peter Laird, Turtle Luminaries doing something else. Blankets, I need to read. Dear Lord. Cerebus and Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. I hope you guys resonate with any of that. Thanks for anyone who stuck through that, I guess, though. I guess people like haul videos, so this is about the closest I'm going to get to it, and probably for a good while. Also, I'm already, in my mind, putting together my next in-stock trades order, which I know I shouldn't be getting more, which is kind of the point of this, but there's something I realize I really need to read. So, like now, what I need to get is Rising Stars, which was J. Michael Straczynski's big poof into comics. I think he did some stuff, but it's in and around that time, like Midnight Nation, which is okay. But Rising Stars was something I read as a novelization as a kid, and I really liked the idea of the story. Some ideas and themes really stuck with me, and I really just want to read the original comic. instead of a stupid book. And it's something I really want to read now. So I'm going to try to get that. I'll probably get the other Absolute so I can just be done with that, which was the point of the initial order. And I've been hearing from people that I really need to check out Gail Simone's Red Sonja, so maybe there. Anyways. Let's talk graphic novels, guys. Peace.